and welcome back. Are y'all ready for another devotional from this little book? The Lord, He woke me up this morning. He's just been with me this morning. I've just been, if you could see with your spiritual eye, you probably would see just a cloud around me where I have just been in such prayer, in contact with God, and I just feel Him so strongly, and I'm just so excited for what He's going to do for us today. So let me just open this book and see where He takes us. Let's see. Okay, here we go. If you have this little book, it's going to be on page 67 and 68. It's going to be under the grouping Keep Me At It, and the title of it is Kindness. So let's just see. It starts out with a verse, a Bible verse. It says, Inasmuch as ye have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it unto me. Matthew 25:40. Love that. Lord, my faults are many, and the faults of my children are many. But whatever our sins and failings, help us never to be guilty of any conscious cruelty. Keep us always kind. The world is so full of suffering, unspeakable suffering on the grand scale, desperate, lonely, suffering in the small events of human life, failures, disappointments, secret agonies. Help us never knowingly to contribute to that suffering, either by a physical act or a gloating word. Don't let us ever rejoice in another's pain or downfall. Let us share the pain as Christ would have done and help each other instead. Kindness, O Lord, simple human kindness. We are so hungry for it, to give it and to receive it, yet we are so afraid to reach out and touch each other lest we be rejected, or afraid of being conspicuous. And so we hold back the kindness that often begs to be released. We lock our lips against the healing words. We look the other way. Or we hug our privacy tightly about us for protection, and its shell grows hard. Often on guard against hurt, we stab out at each other like animals whose instinct is to strike first in order to survive. But we are not animals who must destroy each other. We are your children. And Christ was your living symbol, sent to teach us compassion and love. Through kindness, simple human kindness, we are uplifted. We stand for a shining moment in your presence. We know for an instant the very source of goodness from which we came. God, keep us from cruelty always. Keep us close to you through kindness. Wow. You know, I get so amazed that this book was copyrighted in 1968, so I'm not really sure when it was written, but the edition I have was copyrighted in 1968. And to think that even then, she describes so perfectly our world we're in today. There is so much ugly and hatefulness out there. Kindness, honestly, when you encounter kindness these days, speaking for myself, when I encounter kindness these days, I'm almost kind of like taken aback. It's like, what? Because it is just so rare. It's a rarity. But yet kindness is free, and it's one of the simplest things that we can do for each other and for ourselves, because I have found myself, I really noticed it more around December, because when you're out and about and the stores are crazy and everything's kind of crazy and people's hustling and bustling and everything, people on edge, maybe they're struggling financially to be able to afford a good, decent Christmas for their family. Maybe they're having issues with their jobs, and what worse time to have it than at the holidays, That this is when it sticks out most in my mind recently. There was several situations that I encountered personally that Had I reacted differently other than kindness, it could have went a totally different way. But because I reached out, I reacted in kindness, and in no way am I putting a halo on me or, patting myself on the back or putting wings on me or, saying I have arrived. Please don't get that impression. It is through the grace of God. But through those situations, the fact that I chose to be kind and, be courteous to the other person, there was a shift in the whole mood and the situation and the circumstance. And you could just see the change in them, and I could feel the change in myself just by showing a simple act of kindness in a situation where, had I reacted differently, it could have gotten ugly. For instance, there was a lady in the parking lot. I was trying to get a park. She was had her car door open. She was putting stuff in her car, and she was oblivious to the fact that I was waiting. I needed that park, And when she looked up and she seen me, had I reacted like, finally you're going to move, she could have probably gotten very ugly and hastily. But she looked up and she was like, oh, I'm sorry. I was like, no problem, no worries. And she kind of moved. I pulled into the park in the spot, and she still had stuff to put in her car. I said, do you have enough room? Do you need me to wait? And you could see the total shift. And she's like, oh, no, I'm good. Thank you. And I was just like, well, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas. But had I chose to react the other way and not show kindness and not treat her the way I would like to be treated in such situations, it could have been very ugly and heated between the two of us. And for what? For what? What would have been accomplished? Kindness is something that we all possess and that we can freely give. And just a small act of kindness can totally change the situation. And honestly, when I felt so good after that change, that when I walked in the store, the crowded grocery store, to get what I needed, it was just, I was on such a high from that interaction, because I chose kindness to show her kindness. I chose to show her compassion. I chose to show her understanding. I chose to treat her how I would like to be treated. That I was just on this kindness high, I guess you could say. And I just found myself, okay, well, that went so good. Where's my other chance to show kindness? And it just, I don't know. It did something to me, and I know it was God, okay? I know it was the Lord, because the flesh would not want it to be that way. The flesh would have wanted it to, get out of the way. Can't you see I'm trying to park? I got stuff to do too. You're not more important than me. I need to get my part. Here you are taking up my park and your part. That was how the devil would like for me to react to it. That's how, they would hope I would react to it. But no, it was a little bit of a shift, and just showing some kindness, just simple kindness. Because that's what Jesus did when he walked the earth. When his disciples would be like, he would rebuke them and show kindness to the ones, and you could see how the kindness would change the situation and change that person. Kindness is free, y'all, and kindness we need more of. We need more kindness, because I've read it, I've seen it, I've heard it. Be kind to others, because we don't know what battles they're fighting. You can look at somebody, myself, I can use myself as an example. I have had to run errands. I've had to do things, function, just life. I've had to go to work. I've had to encounter people and put on this face of everything is fine and dandy. But inside, maybe at home, maybe just things, maybe there's, crisis going on at home. Maybe there's bills due and don't know how we're going to pay them. Maybe there's something going on with your kids, and when things are not right with your kids, I don't know about y'all, but when things are not right with my kids, it affects me. Because if it's not right for them, then it's not right in my world, you know. But to see me, you might not know that, you know. So when you see somebody, we don't know what battles they are fighting internally. We don't know what they're going through. We don't know that if you see someone on the street, a child, you don't know that they might be living in an abusive home. They might be being abused mentally or physically. When you see that woman in the store that seems to have her act together, I mean, she's decked out, she's dressed to the nines, designer this, designer that, she's looking so spot on. You don't know at the times that she lays in her bed and cries at night because her husband won't come home. You don't know that maybe her husband does come home, and when he does, he constantly berates her and mentally abuses her. Same thing with a man. You might see a man that looks like, hey, he's got it together. He's got it going on. He is a success. He might be at the top of his game in his chosen career, but then he goes home to a deadbeat wife who don't love him, who don't care about him, who don't take care of his home, who don't have him food cooked, and constantly belittles him. We just don't know what goes on behind closed doors, and we don't know what people are covering up. But that little bit of kindness might be exactly what they need at that moment. And quite honestly, it's just easier to be kind than it is to be rude and hateful and mean. I mean, that's not Christ-like. He wasn't like that. And it really goes back to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. There's been times that I've been driving and maybe a driver cut me off, or, you know, turned in front of me, or, you know, kind of got a little too close to me because they were distracted driving, whatever. And you know what I do? First of all, I thank God that nobody was hurt. And then I say, you know what? I've been guilty of that. And I show them the grace and the kindness that I hope when that happens, because, I mean, hello, I've been guilty of that. That in turn, I would receive the same, you know, act of kindness done to me as I have done unto others, you know? Kindness is such a rarity these days. But I think if we would just sit down and talk to one another, anybody, just pick a stranger at random, and if you was to sit down and have a one-on-one conversation with them, you would find out we share more similarities than we do differences. And it's okay to have a difference of opinion. There is nothing wrong with that. I've said it so many times, how boring of a world would we live in if we all think, acted, and did the exact same thing the exact same way at the exact same time? It would be so boring. I love variety, and it's okay that we are friends and we don't share the same opinions and thoughts. I shared on my other channel the other day about, I was on a Little House on the Prairie kick, you know, and I got comments, oh, I love that show too. I got comments, oh, I never cared for so-and-so on that show. That's fine. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I do believe it is important in the delivery of how we state our opinion. You know, James and I learned when we went to therapy, when we first married, tone, your tone can set the whole thing. You can say the same exact line, but with different tones, and get different reactions. So, yeah, just be kind. It's so much easier to just be kind. And if you can't be kind, just walk away and don't say anything. You know, I truly do my best to treat others the way I want to be treated. Bottom line. And it's such a good golden rule. It's amazing how God knew what he was talking about when he said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So simple, but yet so true and powerful. when you use it. Sorry, I've been on a coughing fit. Got a tickle in my throat. I hope this blesses you. I hope that you are kind. I just feel that you are. I mean, you can't have Jesus living inside of you, have a daily prayer life, have a relationship with God, and not show kindness. It just can't happen. It just can't happen. To be a good child of God, an obedient child of God, kindness has to just be part of your personality and your makeup, because Jesus is love. Jesus is kindness. Jesus is understanding. No, I'm not saying we're Jesus, but he lives inside of us. And we can't claim to have that relationship and having Jesus live inside of us and be ugly and rude. It's like oil and water. It don't mix. It just don't mix. I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for being here. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for how you reach out to each other and encourage and pray for one another. That's what it's all about, y'all. We're all in this thing together. We're all on the same road trying to achieve the same end goal. I pray that you're blessed. I pray that you are shown kindness wherever you may go. I love y'all, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.